you there? I was just practicing my backswing. It is summer after all, and that means sports. Except for the other 3 seasons that have their own sports, but never mind those. There is one thing that's been bothering me though. I am so tired reading about the same sports every single year, golf included. So today we're going to venture outside the bounds of this country and see what's playing on the world stage, so we can see if we can try something in our own home or relax on the couch and see what we can find. To begin, we look to Europe, more specifically the British Isles, and even more specifically Ireland, where the game of hurling is played. Not to be confused with curling, which is a different sport entirely. This is an ancient Celtic game where players use a stick called a hurley to pass a ball called a sliotar, and that hurley is the key to all of this. If you want to run with the ball, you balance it on the hurley. If you want to pick up the ball from the ground, you can only use the hurley. If you want to score, you whack the ball with the hurley. It's 3 points if you get the ball in the net, and 1 if it's only in between the posts. It's one of the big 3 sports in Ireland, alongside football, and even has a presence in other countries as well. In fact, the United States has several teams in association with the Gaelic Athletic Association, or the GAA, including 1 team in Greenville. Yeah, that Greenville. If you want to watch any of the Irish GAA games, you can go ahead and look to their website for free and paid games for you to watch.
Well, that's interesting and all, but it's really kind of the same thing we already know, isn't it? It's a stick and a ball, and we already got a lot of games that use that kind of equipment. What of a game without any equipment?
For that, we now travel to the Indian subcontinent, where an even more ancient game has the distinction of being the national sport of Bangladesh, alongside being quite popular in India as well. The name of the game is Kabaddi, and the main idea is to gain territory, in that one team is set to raid one side of the playing area, while another team is set to defend it. What follows can be a series of tackles, tension, and tag, as any player touched by the raider is out for that round. I forgot to mention, chants and shouting are an integral part of the game. It is required by the raider party to shout "Kabaddi" to make their raid valid. If you want more information, there are many online resources, including a dramatic story version as one of those Japanese animes. But if you want to watch a real game instead, there are a few games with English commentary, but for the most part, they aren't in English. You might just have to learn either Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Telugu, Tamil.
Well, that guy's still going at it. Let's head down to the southern hemisphere and what's happening in the land down under, Australia.
I'm sure most of you know of American football, maybe even a bit about Canadian football, slightly larger field, but Australian football, now that's something. Let's start with the field. There's no line markers, it's an oval. You see, Australian football, or Aussie rules football, or footy, uses the same field as cricket, but is otherwise not related. It's hardly close to soccer either. It's more of a cross between American football and rugby, a little bit of basketball knocked in there too. It's high scoring, fast-paced, aggressive, and something that I seriously found myself watching out of entertainment. There's a lot of terminology to go through for a full description, but the main idea is to kick the ball through either of these posts in the middle to get a 6-point goal, or between these other posts on the side for what's called a behind. There are no set positions for players, so it often looks like a free-for-all to try and get possession. It can get wild and wildly entertaining. It's surprisingly easy to watch on TV or online, so all you really have to do is pick a team and come along for the ride.
What if running around in the field all day isn't your kind of fun, especially in the hot sun like this? If you want something fast, and there really isn't a whole lot of indoor fast sports out there. Or is there?
Originating in Basque Spain and France, but popular across Latin America and the Philippines, Ailai looks to be an exhilarating sport. In it, 2 teams of 2 hurl a pelota, which is Spanish for ball, across a long court, bounce it against a wall, and try to make sure the other team can't either catch it or throw it back after one bounce on the court. So, similar to racquetball, right? Well, it would be if it wasn't for this thing called a zestera, which bears some resemblance to these things from elementary school. However, unlike schoolyard days, these scoops in the hand of an athlete can make the ball really fly, with a world record speed at a blistering 188 miles an hour. Some viewers may know this because for a time it was viewed as the new betting sport, with courts in Las Vegas, Miami, and of course, Connecticut.
Now, there's only one court in Florida nowadays for the entire US, but you can stream it, mostly on betting sites, but you don't have to gamble if you look in the right places. Or maybe you and some friends can find a long hallway to try it yourselves. We kind of just did a round the world in 4 sporting events kind of thing, but I wonder if there's a sport out there that's just all over the world, across all continents, that just doesn't get recognition by the American public. If you ever had this question, I got the sport for you. If you haven't asked that question before, sorry, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. I bring you netball, a relative of basketball. It came around during the turn of the 20th century, specifically with female players in mind. Thus, netball is a primarily female sport played around the world, and I really do mean that. There are over 70 national teams, including the United States, and it's a common school activity across Africa, the Caribbean, Oceania, and elsewhere. Well, how does it work? Other than lacking a backboard, the prime difference between this and basketball is the position for each player is very restricted, with certain positions only being able to cross certain sections of the court. Each player can only possess the ball for 3 seconds, and if they catch it, they can only pivot from where they caught it to shoot again. It's genuinely interesting to see how these otherwise stifling limitations are overcome in the game. You can watch it online in many ways through many different leagues, but it may show up on the big network soon. It's been recognized by the Olympic Committee, so who knows what the future may hold. Well, that's all the time I have. There are so many sports to talk about, like Finnish baseball and that Brazilian trampoline volleyball thing. And I never even mentioned how pickleball's been sweeping the nation as of late. If any of these sports I've mentioned interest you, I highly suggest finding more information online, because understanding what's going on is half the fun. As I learned, many of these are just as exciting as any of our major national sports, maybe even more so. It's important to know that soccer isn't the only sport on the international stage. Whether you're wanting to try some of these with your friends or watching an exciting new game at your leisure, the world is your veritable oyster. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you all another time. But until then, play ball.